Dad fights.
There is a device that has been the single source of ongoing generational trauma for the past 75 years. It is a source of ongoing mild conspiracy theories. It is the fork in the road that splits either into verbal abuse or comedy gold. This is the Dome Light. The year was 1991. My father behind the wheel of a 1989 Chevy Suburban. My mother in the front seat. My sister in the second row. Myself sprawled out in the backpack, smashed between a tent, tackle boxes, fishing poles, a Coleman cooler, and a Winnie Model 92. Returned to civilization after a long weekend fishing trip to Forest Lakes. We're cooking down the 87, the old beeline highway. I lose a Lego spaceman and buggy beneath the bench seat. In a moment of sheer panic, I reach my chubby baby boy arm and hit that dome light. It goes from pitch black in the cabin of this Chevy monstrosity into a blinding daylight. I rescue the spaceman, return him safely to his buggy. My father, 4.5 hours behind the wheel, chain smoking the Marlboro heaters, turns off his Beach Boy cassette, proceeds to bald-faced lie to me and my sister. Now mind you, in the moment, we did not have Google in our pockets to fact-check this statement. We simply accepted this as fact. The innocent lie my father told us that day, and I quote verbatim, "It is a federal offense to drive with the dome light on due to the fact that it obstructs the field of view of the windshield and the rear view mirrors. If a state trooper were to see the light on whilst driving, the trooper would proceed to pull us over. We'd all be spending the night in jail. And as for your mother, she would instantaneously lose her residency, be immediately deported. Is this what you want?" Now, is this something you say to a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old? Let that inquiry sit in for a little. I'll wait. I suppose it's a little more poignant now, here in 2025, with the rise of deportations and a stand against ICE in most of our city streets. But to answer the question, it's yes. Why, yes, it was 1991. It was the 90s. You know, the 90s. You remember the 90s. A beautiful post-Cold War era where middle class was in today's standard rich. Kids were able to run free, unaccounted for. It was the final era of the true latchkey kid. Pre-cell phones, pre-internet as we know it, no tech at all, just chaotic fun. I believe that to be my canon events. It was my earliest core memory, and it still haunts me to this very day. Let's dive into the history, shall we? The year is 1947. One man had an ingenious or insidious idea and filed for a patent on May the 8th, 1947. The man's name, Kenneth E. Lyman. A truly iconic inventor of the 20th century, he patented and created engine components that are still in use today, although many may be phased out with the rise of the EV. But his contribution to the generational trauma will live on forever. The patent for the dome light was approved in 1950. Subsequently, the first automobile that came with this standard interior dome light was rolled off the factory floor that same year. That is 75 years. 75 years of lies. That's roughly 4 generations of lies. Lies I have told. Now, I'm not proud of this one. It had to be done. At least I tell myself it had to be done. This is a lie I told. And I told this to a 4.5-year-old who will remain nameless for anonymity's sake and for the sake of my relationship. It was Thanksgiving. We were en route back to my house when from out of nowhere, a child reached up and switched on the dome light, and the lie I proceeded to traumatize this next generation is, and I quote verbatim, "Buddy, you gotta turn off that light. The dome light. You can't have that dome light on when we're driving because if you don't, an alien spaceship may spot it and use it as a beacon. Then we'll all be abducted and we'll have to live out the rest of our lives in a human zoo. An outer space human zoo? A Star Trek-esque human zoo? A menagerie, if you will.
But it would be a fascinating project.
Now, before you go and judge me for this lie I told, I just want to reiterate that this lie has basis in reality. Half fictional, half factual. Let's go and dive into some accounts to support my lie. Let us dive into some conspiracies. Tinfoil hats on, boys. Let's get into it. (1975). A logger from Snowflake, Arizona, is driving an old country road one night, returning back home. His name, Travis Walton. And for those who are familiar with this name know, he was abducted by aliens. Yes, this is a true story. I've read the book, The Walton Experience. I've watched the movie, Fire in the Sky. It is factual. It is a very true story. It makes me scared to drive country roads at night now. That movie came out in the early 90s and just freaked me out. But that's beyond the point. There was a fact that was left out of the movie, but it was abundantly clear in Walton's book. And that was the fact that he was indeed driving with the dome light on. This fact was not verified for years. It wasn't until 2021 where Walton appeared as a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience. This little fact must have been breezed over by everyone, but not me. It sent me into a spiral. A downward spiral. A Trent Reznor-style downward spiral, if you will. It made me ask the question, is there a connection between the interior dome light and alien encounters? Let's dig deeper. Let's dig deep into this rabbit hole, shall we? 1961. A couple returning from a weekend getaway to Niagara Falls spots a flying saucer. They continue down the highway. Their names, Barney and Betty Hill. As they continue down the road, hours have passed, and they spot the UFO again. The couple continues down the road. Later that night, the UFO returns, this time directly overhead. The Hills recall being able to see inside the craft and notice 8 humanoid aliens. The couple falls into paralysis and are abducted. They are returned to their vehicles several days later. It was on a later account during an interview whilst undergoing hypnotherapy. It was confirmed they were in fact driving with their dome light on. Now I ask the question, could this encounter have been halted if that dome light was off? Perhaps, but perhaps not. Let's hear from my best friend Jeremy. The dome light. Do you have a fun story about the dome light?
So, my dad doesn't give me much advice, or he did, may he rest in peace. But the only fatherly advice he did give me was when you're at the light, you cap it. And you also turn off the dome light. So when you do get pulled over, they don't see your beverage. That's why he always told me to leave that dome light off so they don't see your drinks. The alcoholic drinks.
We do not condone drinking and driving.
No, we don't.
It is good advice
Yes,
for those who choose to do so.
It is sound advice. Don't cap it at the light, drunkies.
Now that you are a father and you got a kid who is tall enough to reach the dome light,
yes.
Is there anything you're going to tell him to not turn on? Does the dome light even bother you?
While I'm driving, no, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, because I had my nephew and we're driving around. He kicked it on, and I'm like, I don't even notice it because I feel like with the navigation screens now, it's like it's bright in your face. Yeah. It's like,
but if this was like 1989,
that's true.
Then
we have streetlights everywhere. They all switch to LEDs. It's blinding.
Yep, it's blinding. Beacon.
But what's a fun thing you're to tell your kid to turn it off?
I'll tell him to turn it off.
He doesn't need a reason. I'm dead.
Yeah. Turn it off. Wasting my energy. No, I will say that at night it'll create a beacon for the aliens, and if it remains on, we are easier to be spotted by said aliens, and we'll get abducted. So he might leave it on.
He may leave it on. Maybe you might have to change that up because we all want to see what them grays is all about.
Grazes.
Yeah. What do you think it'll be? I don't know the difference. Are reptiles? Is that a type of alien? Get the tinfoil hat out. Let's get into aliens.
All right, aliens. So what do you think aliens look like?
I think they look like us, but browner, coming across the board. Oh, you mean like extraterrestrials? Hear about the Texas guy trying to free the thick Latinas? That could just be an AI meme, and I'm dumb enough to believe it because I'm old now.
Yeah. Dome lights?
Dome lights, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, if my kid's like, can I turn on the dome light? I'm going to say no, because we don't want the aliens to see us.
Yeah. We're thinking like E.T. looking aliens. We're thinking like Predator or Alien from that universe.
I'm thinking they all look like the Mac and Me alien.
Yeah,
and they're all doing the duck face. That's why all those girls were doing duck face.
Because of Mac and Me?
Because Mac and Me, man. Aliens came down. One alien did it.
Yeah. Okay, I mean that. He's complaining about the dome light.
Dome lights. He's like, he never tells me to turn it off.
So recently, I asked this question about the dome light and what kind of theories and lies have been told in regards to why you cannot drive with the dome light on. I posed this question to the subreddit group, No Stupid Questions. I posted this with high expectations of comical responses. But unfortunately, this was the one and only time I received logical and unfunny answers on the internet. In retrospect, I should have asked that question to Instagram, because the comment threads there do not disappoint. Here are a few of the responses. Let's go through them, shall we? One Redditor responded by saying, "My dad just said it's illegal." Probably in fear that I would follow that up with multiple questions. I was 4. Another Redditor stated, "It's our parents' job to lie to us, to shut us up." Another Redditor responded by saying, "My mama would always tell me Burger King was closed every time we drove past it." That comment got 46 upvotes. It's pretty good. Another Redditor went off on a 6-paragraph rant on how the dome light from inside obstructs the field of view and makes it impossible to check rearview mirror. Often puts a glow of light on the windshield. And then this person proceeded to put links to safe driving tips and videos. And to that I say, what a f***ing nerd. Nerd! One Redditor simply stated, "My mom told me if I kept it on, a dangerous stranger would follow me home." That's pretty good. Striking fear. I dig it. Unfortunately, 60 plus responses, no mention of aliens. Am I incorrect? Did my research hypothesis have a heavy bias? Is this the reason why Jeremy and I are best friends? Because he also believes in my extraterrestrial theory? In conclusion, is there a connection between alien encounters and the interior dome light? Is having an illuminated moving vehicle on a dark highway a beacon for extraterrestrial shenanigans? Yes. The answer is yes. Turn that light off, please and thank you. Over the past 5 years, I've noticed more and more of these modern, sophisticated vehicles have started to phase out the interior roof dome light. Is this the reason we hear less and less of individuals being abducted by extraterrestrials? Well, perhaps. You know, these new, modern vehicles are opting for a panoramic glass roof. You know, a giant sunroof, front to back. Picture the Tesla line, Acura, Lexus, the Ford EV line, Rivian, and others. These cars have opted for an LED light on the doors, facing the floors versus overhead from the roof. Perhaps the rise of EV will end the dome light. Perhaps it was Elon Musk's game plan all along to end the interior dome light. Is Elon Musk an alien? Did he make a pact with the extraterrestrials? Finally, should we thank Elon for doing his part to end the cycle of generational trauma? I'll go ahead and answer that one. No. That guy. I'd rather get a repeat probing by some slimy gray alien versus ever driving a Tesla. But don't take my word for it.
Dad fights. Dad fights. Dad fights.
Today's project was brought to you by viewers like you. Big thanks and shout out to my best bud, Jeremy, and Attack of the Boo Tron Omega for providing the music for this episode. Check them out wherever you stream your music. Links are in the description below. Also, big shout out to our loyal friends, Damien, Miss Brandy, Brian, Aunt Jay, Juan, Mackle, Austin, and Stephanie. Thank you guys.